Alright, hi guys, so this will be a video for the Toyota 4Runner and the transmission mount that we have here. Now this transmission mount here has 2 bolts at the top, another 2 bolts on the other side, as well on the top right here. It has 4 bolts on the bottom side, and what I will be doing will be removing this bracket here to drop the transmission mount and make it easier for myself. So I will be removing these two 14 millimeter bolts that are here holding the bracket to the motor mount. These are 4 12 millimeter bolts. These are all already loosened. The ones on top are 14 millimeter bolts. Those are 2 14 millimeter bolts. And then again for the bracket, if we go right here down the middle bar, and we see there's another 2 bolts on top of it. This is going to the bracket of the transmission mount. So we will be removing this from here like that, and we will be removing these 2 14 millimeter bolts from the top. So I have loosened all of these already. These are loosened, and I just want to take everything off at the same time so I can just pop everything back in just the way that right away, so it doesn't leave too much play or time for the engine to move on me. Now I have my jack here set with 3 blocks of wood right here, right under the transmission pan, and I am putting very minimal pressure on there, just making sure that it's not sitting on the mount so I can loosen all of these bolts. So you're going to want to get under the car, and the car is not jacked up, it is on the ground. I got the jack, put it under the transmission mount, or under the transmission itself, transmission pan. I centered it as close as possible to the middle and all the way to the back to make sure it would be sitting right next to the transmission mount that we'll be replacing. After you do that and you set the jack up, you're going to want to remove all these bolts right here. I started with the top ones right here. For the top ones up here, I got the 14 short socket or regular socket, and did it with the Milwaukee gun. They came out real quick. Now for the ones on the other side over here, the ones on this side, if you see, the bolt itself is good, but it will be hitting right here on the bracket. So let me show you. You cannot get a socket in there at the right angle because it will tilt it up like so. So what I did was I got a 14 ratchet, and I put it on there, and I took off 1 bolt first right here, and then once I take off this bolt right here, this is the only bolt that I'm going to take off completely. Once I take off this bolt right here, give me 1 second. Now remember to keep all these bolts separated so you know where they go. Now that I took off that bolt there, now I have enough space to get my ratchet back in there and loosen this one up. Now a trick is that, you know, if you get a regular ratchet, you get another ratchet and you put the bottom side and lock it right with the other one like so. And then you can use both of them and it gives you more leverage to break it loose. And there you go. Once you break it loose, you can pretty much get it by hand, like so. Sorry about the camera quality, it's just my phone. So I'm just trying to show you guys a video because I researched and I looked online and I couldn't find no video of myself. So you guys know how that goes. This one it is a hands-on more video. I've been getting a lot of complaints that my videos are not hands-on. It's just straight to the point. So here we have these two bolts. They are the same size. And again, we'll be removing the ones on the other side now. Right there. And I'm trying to do this as quick as possible because I'm actually on the street right now.
Come on.
So we got another bolt out. And the last one here on this corner. And another thing, my phone is not fully charged. So, okay. So that you see is the ones on this side. We took off the ones on the other side. Now we'll be releasing the ones on the bracket itself. I'm gonna take off this one and I'm gonna take off this one. I'm gonna pause it while I do this. Alright guys, so as soon as I removed those bolts right there, the bracket came loose. I jacked up the transmission just here, just to get me some space in here to get in. Now, well, you know what? I don't even need to take this out. I'm actually doing too much work. I just need to take these bolts off right here. One. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing. Taking off these bolts right here on the bottom. 2, 3, and 4. Alright, let's see. And just like that, we fit it out. Now this way, this does go a certain way in. The bolts have to be facing more forward and then a little gap on the back. So that's how we will put the new one in. Same way. And it will go in like this. And just basically slip it on there like that. Slip it on there like so. And then let's try to get this in here as close as possible. Oh, let's see. Oh wow, this one. Let me just try to put a couple of these bolts in to try and line it up later on. Okay, let's see. Okay, so right there I just lifted up the transmission a little bit more because I didn't have enough room to quite get these bolts in here. And that was actually perfect because it gave me just enough space to get in here. Alright, then just the last one. Now I'm having some trouble putting that one in. So I'm gonna stick these in a little bit more. Oh, let's get this one and let's do it by hand. Let's see if that flips up. Okay. Now you're not going to want to tighten these down all the way just yet. You just want to make sure that they're in there. You want to make sure that you can still swing this around a little bit. I'm going to loosen that one up right there. And you're going to want to put your 4 bolts from the side in the side now. Oh, I might have to loosen these up a little bit more. Alright, so on our way installing this here, we'll have to put this back. Push it back a little bit to line up these bolts in here. Let's see. I wonder if we remove these, will it make it any easier for us? Let me get the 14. Please put the camera right there. Set the camera in. Okay, something like that. Okay. Put the bolts here on the side. Alright, so that made it somewhat easier, but it's honestly still a little bit off. So I'm gonna have to play with this until I can get it just to the right spot. I might have to drop the transmission just a little bit. Not entirely sure yet. I'm going to push this back at the same time that I want to. Something like that. Something almost like that. Keep that up there. Alright. Alright then, so let's put these on the side right here. I don't think that's actually, I don't think it helped very much to remove those. But let's see if we can stick one of these in there. So that actually helped me line that up right there. Let's see if we can push this one into its way. Up into the other way. Over there. Same thing, we're not gonna put it in the whole way. Alright, so we put in these bolts right here, not the whole way. We put in one up there. We took off these two bolts here and the two up here, and we're trying to lock these on top in there. So what I'm doing is I'm sticking a pry bar on the side and just prying it to the side to line them up. Let's see. What can I do if I... Alright, so we got it this close, but it's still slightly off. So I'm trying to just lift it up a little bit to see how I can get it to fit in. But it's getting a little hard, honestly. Let's see. What I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna end up putting these bolts in here, back in, and then I'm gonna end up dropping the transmission. I'm gonna end up dropping the transmission back down and see if it can sit itself in correctly. I got the 2 bolts on this side in there to line it up. I'm hoping that'll be enough to get it in there.